Just when we thought Bailey Smith was out of the conversation on the trade table for Collingwood, he goes into his exit meeting and does not specifically ask for a trade to where everybody thought he would nominate, and that would have been Geelong. He did not go ahead and do that. So he's left the door slightly ajar for fiends like myself and everybody else in this world to entice and entertain the idea that maybe there's a world where Collingwood can get Bailey Smith over the line in this trade period. And we'll talk about that in just a moment as to what is Collingwood's best trade hand if we are to get someone like Bailey Smith over the line. Now, what do we know about Bailey Smith? He's an inside/outside midfielder, knows how to score, finals proven. And I'm not going to mention he's mates with Nick Dacos and shares a business. Take a drink every time somebody else does, though. I'm just thinking about DC, Dacos, DeGoey, and Baz in that midfield and that perfect synergy between power and speed and endurance. And that would go a long way for Collingwood and make us look faster than what we are at times. Once you throw Baz into that midfield rotation, all of a sudden you can compensate for Pendlebury and Tom Mitchell and Sidebottom and even DeGoey at times, because we got these players who just could run for days and have power in their legs as well. So he is a perfect inclusion, especially because of the age bracket that he currently sits in. Being 24 years old, it's a perfect makeup. We talked about Dan Houston and Petrarca and giving up picks for them, and it's like, well, yes, they'd be great, but they're in a period of it's win now for the Pies, whereas with Bailey Smith, there is still a bit of a long-term plan behind that, which is, I think, what most players or fans have been screaming out for. Getting these bigger players in with the picks that we have available and make it for the long term, not for these quick fixes. So I think Bailey Smith being a chance, hearing that today, I think that will spruik a couple of people and at the same time make a couple people optimistic about the idea. So, in 2021, he averaged 23 disposals, kicked 17 goals in 26 games, and had coaches' votes for the Port and Brisbane game in those finals. I think it was the elimination final against Brisbane. He kicks 3 goals there and then kicks 4 goals against Port Adelaide in that preliminary final and has that famous celebration. So, clearly finals proven, and the more of that you can have in your team, the better it is going to be for you, obviously. He goes into 2022 and averages 29 disposals. I think in 2021 he had 30% CBAs, centre bounce attendances, and then he attended 50% of the centre bounces in 2022 and had a great year. Back-to-back 40 coaches' votes in each of those years in 21 and 22. But then in 23, he gets pushed to this weird half-forward role, and it's this stupid beverage, what do you call it? Beverage roulette. We call it at Man City pep roulette if you watch the EPL. So it just makes these wild decisions and positional changes with the personnel and tries to ruin players' careers based on the moves he wants to ensure that they fit within the team. I don't know. I can't make sense of that. So that's happened. And then he does his knee in the pre-season of 2024. But just on that 2023, while going back to 30% CBAs by way of moving to the half-forward line, he scores 4 goals compared to in 2021 when he did have that 30% centre bounce attendance as well. He kicked 17 goals. So a real decrease in output when it comes to kicking goals as well in 23. So there's a point to be made there with the ACL down in form in 2023, what Bailey Smith is truly worth, okay? Western Bulldogs, they've got his contract in hand, and I'll just double check what it is with Bailey Smith. I'm sure he's not out of contract this year. It's still a trading situation, obviously, so they're going to have the upper hand, and they're going to say, hey, we think Bailey Smith is worth the most. So contracted till 2024, but he's a non-free agent, so you still have to trade for him. So it will be interesting to see how that transpires as far as what they're going to value Bailey Smith at in this market, and it's going to be quite high given there aren't many big fish in this market at the moment. No Petrarca, no Dan Houston, Barras is already nominated, Josh Battle as well, and these aren't necessarily like your premium players in the league, but Bailey Smith is on the precipice of being within that conversation if he can have another good year. So who who is going to rival for him? So Geelong was the obvious one. They only have pick 16 in that first round, so they don't have so much so as to say they have the upper hand. They can offer pick 16 in a future first, and then there you go, Bob's your uncle. Bulldogs accept that, but it just depends where Bailey Smith stands in all of this, the player agent, how much, I guess, leverage they have in this conversation to say, hey, we understand Geelong are offering this, but Collingwood are offering this. Would you consider that? And we'll get to that. We're getting there. The hypothetical. I do have that ready for you. Bombers and Carlton, they also have picks within the first round, but they do have academy players in sight, so I would imagine they're prioritising those types of players. St Kilda do have pick 7, and they'll probably get a compensation pick within the first round for Josh Battle, although we know St Kilda aren't much of a destination club these days, so I'm not sure if Bailey would want to move there. And then the Demons have picks as well, but their culture is unsteady, and with Bailey's history with the substance culture, if you want, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying not to get demonetized here. I wonder if that probably wouldn't be the best fit. Definitely not. So we'll scratch D's for now. And then with the contract adjustments that we've made with those new extensions, 1-year extensions to 5 of our players, gives us a bit of room in a salary cap, okay? And now we're here for the hypothetical, okay? Before any of you mention it in the comment section, I don't think the Bulldogs will consider Reef McInnes. I think their forward line is stacked as it is with Ugle-Hagan, Norton, Darcy, and then they've got Lobb in the back line as well, and Liam Jones. So Reef does not fit anywhere within that picture, I wouldn't imagine, unless they see him on the half-back line as a runner to replace Caleb Daniel. I don't know, but I doubt it. And then Finlay McRae, despite being Jackson McRae's brother, I just don't see room in that midfield either with Treloar, Liberatore, Bont, Ed Richards, McRae, who's out of favour. There's just no room. But maybe we can finesse them into the believing Bulldogs that they need one of these players. So, if John Noble goes to Gold Coast and we play hardball and we get pick 20 from Gold Coast and Alex Davies, and we send them a future third to accommodate for Alex Davies, and then we take that pick 20, we take pick 32 and a future first, okay? And then we send that to the Dogs back for Bailey Smith and a future second so that we can stockpile some second round picks because they still have value when we're trying to get McGuan. We'll call it the Thomas McGuan stockpile, right? So that future first goes, yes, understand that would go a long way into getting someone like McGuan to and ensuring we can match the bid inside the top 10, where he seemingly will stand in the draft in 2025. But if we can start stockpiling future seconds as we do here, while giving up a current future second in the 2024 draft, at least you're not coming from a long way back, making up for getting the right amount of draft picks to get McGuan. So that's probably as good as it's going to get, really. Pick 22, pick 20, pick 32, and a future first, and the Dogs send back Bailey Smith and a future second for Thomas McGuan. And then if you guys want to encourage the idea of bundling Reef or Finn, have at it. I mean, I don't think they'll do it, but that is as realistic as it gets. The hand is short. A lot of strings are going to need to be pulled by the player agent and Bailey Smith to get to Collingwood. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Another day, another rumour. Go Pies.